Hello and welcome to the Curated Beauty Podcast. I'm Jessica Christie, CEO of Beauty Culture Med Spa and the founder of the new functional and regenerative business, Cultured Wellness. From my start as a physician assistant to now not only being a practitioner but leading my own businesses, I've been on a unique journey through health, beauty, and entrepreneurship. Join us as we explore everything from skincare secrets to leadership lessons. Whether you're passionate about beauty or striving to balance life's challenges, this is your space to connect, learn, and shine. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Curated Beauty Podcast. I am your host, Jessica Christie, CEO of Beauty Culture and Cultured Wellness. Today, let's explore my journey of evolving into an unconventional leader in the domains of beauty, aesthetic medicine, and now regenerative medicine. I've always believed in disrupting the status quo and doing things differently. It's like a tune that resonates with my core beliefs and something that makes me tick. However, there was a time where this belief really almost faded away, a time where I felt dwarfed by traditional established leaders, and I felt weird and that my ideas either were bad and I was just totally off. I really didn't feel like I had anyone who thought the same way as I did. I remember coming across the book Tribal Leadership, which instilled in me the idea of leading with culture, listening, insight. And this book really emphasized the importance of valuing everyone's opinions and honing unique abilities and embracing change, even when it's uncomfortable and it's on a large scale. And I've talked about this book before because it was such a discerning book for me to read. And then I thought, oh my gosh, I've found the answer. And then when I took it to these people who I thought of as my leader, they turned away and pat me on the head like, oh, you 25-year-old little girl, just go do your job because we just need you to do the job. You're an FTE. We don't care if you quit, which I thought they would, but they didn't. Eventually I did quit. It's taken a lot of time to build the confidence to trust my instincts and not be swayed by skeptics. So whether you're having a cup of tea right now, a curious elixir like me, which is a non-alcoholic kind of adaptogen cocktail to wind down at night, whether you're diving into your skincare routine and you're like me, where you love to listen to podcasts while you're getting ready or getting unready, or you're driving to work, I want you to join me on this journey. Rewinding a bit, as a young mother of two, I had just had my second baby and my kids were only 18 months apart. And I was really grappling as I stared at the time on the calendar daily about going back to a job where I was trying to balance work culture and invaluable time that I wanted to spend with my children and my number one priority. And though I really cherished my work and I really loved what I did, I felt like I was really stuck in a rut. It was then that I took a leap of faith, investing all that my husband and I had, plus borrowing everything else that we could. And we set out on this daunting journey of establishing our own business. I remember when we had just maxed out everything. We were sitting at a Coney Island trying to have a conversation about when I can buy like certain things on certain credit cards that we're going to need to open this business. That was just so hard. My husband, I looked across the table and it just like looked like he had so much fear in his eyes, and I had fear and I always looked at him as my rock, and it was just scary. And this decision to do this also came at a time where we were like, we really need to start renovating this house that we bought several years ago. It's kind of falling apart. We had, for example, 3 full bathrooms up and on our second level, and there was something wrong with each of them. So between all of them, we had like 1 fully functioning bathroom. So the decision came at a time where our financial budget wasn't potentially meeting what we wanted to do. We didn't have $1 million that it takes to open a med spa, but we found it because there was a drive to create something unique and it overshadowed all of the challenges. And that was this initial phase of where I became engrossed in aesthetics, but then I started to, without knowing it at the time, become pretty risk tolerant. And it felt scary. I had no idea what was on the other side of it. I hoped good. I'm glad for what I have. It was crazy. Back to like the passion though that made me take this risk, there was a transformation of patience, the innovation, the constant learning, and it was incredibly rewarding. But of course, there's doubts that creep in, especially when I compared myself to more established figures in the industry. And that's why when I do trainings, I always tell these women, like, I know it looks like now I have it all figured out. I just have it down. But it's not my thing to say, but I know that this is an established saying. It's like, don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's mid book, or let alone the end of their journey. And when they're done and retiring, you have to really compare your own journey to you and be this unconventional leader and write the path for whatever your unwavering passion is, and almost walk into it with blind confidence, because that's what's really kept me going. It gets easier as things work out for you. There is definitely forward momentum, but I recall the skepticism that I faced when I invested in my first Cyton device. There were naysayers aplenty, and they believed that I was destined to fail because I bought such an expensive device out of the gate. And this skepticism, rather than deter me, became a catalyst to prove them wrong. Through all of this, I realized that external opinions, whether they were rooted in jealousy or fear or genuine concern, they shouldn't define our journey. Being an unconventional leader is about forging your own path and being transformative and often challenging established norms. A quote I recently came across encapsulates the complexities of this journey. People may oscillate between admiration and jealousy, love and shade, but while they're preoccupied with you, you remain at peace. To me, the essence of the unconventional leadership has several facets, and it's almost like you need to gild yourself with this thin gold plating to be able to shield and ward off these other naysayers, but also appear shiny and appear somewhat attractive to others like you. You owe them that. It's almost like your way of giving back. So let's talk about the 10 ways that you can show up as an unconventional leader. Number 1, self-awareness and authenticity. Sounds like a no-brainer, but these leaders are genuine. They are aware of their strengths, their weaknesses. They embrace them both. They know their motivators. They embrace vulnerability and they own it. This makes them relatable and trustworthy, and there will be challenges in every business venture, I promise you. But the way forward involves adapting and evolving and listening to insights and thanking people for feedback. Building a trusting team, offering them a safe, I always say, like, psychological safety is so important, because if you don't offer that, then you're never showing your team that you value their insights. And leadership is not a dictatorship. It's about collaborating and guiding and growing together. And they guide me just as much. Number 2 is the commitment to lifelong learning. Effective leaders should always be in the pursuit of new knowledge, new skills, new experiences. And having a growth mindset, which is one of my core values, it is really essential to tackling problems in an innovative way. Our core values are impact, integrity, growth mindset, and fully committed. And if someone on your team doesn't embody one of those things, you really need to take a long, hard look in the mirror of what is your hiring process and how can you tighten that up and change. But also, do you need to have the hard conversations to have people move on? Can you give them the gift of helping them find somewhere where they feel more like their core values are being met? Number 3 is challenging the status quo. So this unconventional leader needs to embrace this, because you're questioning established practices and being willing to think differently about standard methodology and procedures. If you aren't rewriting even your SOPs, you are really becoming obsolete at a certain point, and everyone else is innovating and changing the way that they do things. There's going to be so many different factors that play into that. Is there an easier way to get it done, a faster way, a less expensive way? What resources are available outside of your business that you could potentially create a who, not a how does your team do it, but who else can you bring in that makes sense financially? So just constantly going back and really looking at that. Number 3, empathy and inclusivity. Valuing diverse perspectives and making team members feel valued and included and seen and heard. If someone feels like you see them and you hear them and that you're working on giving them either what they're asking for, or you're explaining them, not right now and here's why, or you're explaining them, this is why I don't think that this is a good option. Let me know how this sits with you and how you'd like to proceed. If you don't do that with an open heart and a true why behind conversations like that, it's really setting someone up to feel like they're more in a dictatorship versus you leading. And empathy you hear like classic things like I'm an empath. It is an exhausting kind of role to have because you do take a lot of these things on, but that's why you need to be really clear in terms of leadership about how much you pick up and what is your priority. That's a lot of the reason why I had to let go of 100% patient care, because my team is my priority. And if I'm going to be an empathetic, inclusive leader, I need to have the time to hear my team. Number 5, courage and resilience. Be brave in the face of the opposition that will hit you in the face, and having the resilience to stand by one's convictions. This is something that you can never predict, but it is something that will absolutely happen even to the strongest, best laid businesses, because you can't predict human behavior and you can't predict what innovations will come out that sometimes even negatively impact your business. Having the courage and being brave are really, really important, and they will help you work through all of the other ones to go back to the drawing board, to be vulnerable. It takes bravery to be vulnerable. It's not a weak characteristic. It's actually a really strong one. And it's admitting that you don't have it all figured out, but that you're working every day to get there. Number 6, flexibility and adaptability. So recognizing that change is very inevitable and you're going to embrace it when it comes along, and being prepared to adapt and evolve as needed. That's not only for you, but how are you leading your team into that? Number 7, being incredibly purpose-driven. Why do you get up in the morning? Is it because you want to make more money or you have bills to pay? Or is there a bigger motivating factor behind that? Like you want to change the world? Do you have little ones at home that you want to show that they don't have to grow up the way that you grew up? Do you want to prove to yourself that you are worthy when you weren't told that when you were little? There are many, many different reasons that make people tick, and finding yours and finding what makes you tick and what your passions are is so crucial to being a good leader, and an unconventional one at that. Number 8, collaborative relationships. Unconventional leaders really look for these, and I have such a hunger and a thirst for finding more people who are doing what I also do, but in a different way. I love for my team to also go create collaborative relationships, because good team members will go out and then come back and share other things like, hey, they do it this way. This is a little different than us, and this is maybe not aligned, but there's this one nugget that I took back and I really love that, and I think we should implement some of that. Number 9, they carry a holistic perspective, taking into account the long-term implications of decisions, considering factors like sustainability, societal impact, trends in the market. How about, do your team members have the goal to retire from your business? Or do you think about how your business is the place and the vessel for them to also help their dreams come true? When you do that and you create this safe place for them to feel like, gosh, I don't have to tell my boss in 3 years what's going to make me feel fulfilled is open my own business. That is okay. And that's good. That's communication. That's growth. That's evolution. People are allowed to do that. Number 10, last but not least, continuous self-refinement, being open to feedback, reflecting on one's actions, constantly striving for personal and professional betterment. When people ask, what makes you successful? It's because I spend all of this time really digging into these concepts and issues and reading books that make me better. And when I'm struggling with something personally, if I'm not going and drinking from the well of knowledge of that issue and seeking some sort of guidance from people that I trust and value, I think I'm doing a huge disservice to really uncovering the why behind other things that I do as a leader. And my team deserves that from me. And not everyone will appreciate that, but the true team members that stick and want to continue, they believe that you have more value in their life than just a paycheck. That's your team. And that's who you show up for and you continue to self-refine for, because you're offering them an additional boost in their life. And it's not just a job. It's something that they feel is also feeding their soul. So I am truly passionate about these principles, not only for leadership in the professional setting, but personal growth. And I am so excited to continue to show you what we're doing to expand in the innovations of cultured wellness. We recently launched a podcast on the whole concept of sexual wellness, vaginal rejuvenation, the G-spot shot. Also talking about the benefits of IV therapy. We also have some really exciting human tissue sorts of injections coming out, working on immunotherapy, working on things like dementia. We're really shaking it up, and it takes a lot of fight to get these things approved. But I am really, really excited to be continually aligning with the team and putting all of these systems and implementations into play so that we can not only continue to deliver the best aesthetic services, but that we can also take the woman who just came in for Botox and her mom is suffering from dementia. How can we show her and reveal this new therapy that now we're an infusion center for, to be able to shift her trajectory of her life? That's what makes us get out of bed in the morning. And I can't wait to take you guys on this ride. I am grateful for you showing up and listening to these podcasts. As always, if you have anything that you want me to talk about or share about, please reach out to us on our Instagram platforms. And until next time, I am so grateful to spend this time with all of you. And that's a wrap on another enriching episode of the Curated Beauty Podcast. If today's conversations resonated with you, I urge you to share it with someone you believe could benefit from it. Let's spread the beauty, knowledge, and empowerment far and wide. For more in-depth resources, information about who we are, or if you're interested in becoming a patient or training directly with me or one of my team, visit our website at beautyculturespa.com. Don't forget to stay connected with us on Instagram for all the latest updates, behind the scenes, and beauty wisdom. Follow us at beautyculture.medspa and at B Cultured Wellness. That's the letter B, Cultured Wellness. Thank you for being with us today. Keep curating your beauty both inside and out. Until next time.